Uh, my, oh my.
It's dark, but it's there.
It is dark. I may never recuperate.
It turns out we have a happy hour to your concerns, Dennis.
Yes.
How are you this evening, Dennis?
I'm in a fair mood. It's been a busy day. We had a little delay. I had a emergency baby seat installation project come my way at 10 minutes after 4. And I went, oh no. And I smartly grabbed a pair of scissors because I just put on car seats. So I knew I'd have to cut at least in one spot. And I put it together and took it apart 3 times in 20 minutes and finally had it done perfectly. But it did take 20 minutes.
Clever.
Time was precious. And a lot of sliding parts and instructions that, of course, were never clear. The guy who writes the instructions never puts it together. He's I know what this should be like, and he writes it, and he's never put it together. Not really. I don't think. Maybe if it was you, would. You'd write about it. You'd put it together and write about it.
Now that you've put it together, you could, hey, that's like half of YouTube is instructional videos about how to put together something or another, or how to change the light bulb in your refrigerator if you have the model of Whirlpool 7934. Like that's what is out there now. And for example, just the other day, we as a family, so first of all, we are so blessed to have now sunshine for an entire week
after all that rain,
after 4 fucking weeks of rain, gray rain, cold rain. So we've had some sunshine, and so the family was like, "Hey, let's all go out and ride our bicycles." And so we went to our garage and we got our bicycles, and I noticed that all of our tires were under soft. And so I started inflating everyone's tires, and then I got around to my bicycle, and my bicycle is the one that's not new. We bought all of them new except for mine, which was a used bicycle, from, according to him, from like the bicycle that the bicycle shop owner had ridden for years and felt bad about giving up and stuff.
Right.
Who knows if that's a real story or not? But
sure, why wouldn't it be?
Sure. But there's a different type of valve on one of my tires. On most of the tires, there's this short valve that you just
press it over the top of it.
That you just plop the pump nozzle on top of. But then there's another type that is a longer, skinnier valve. And this past weekend, when we wanted to go ride bicycles, I could not for the life of me figure out how, 6 months ago, he explained to me how to pump air into this type of tire, but 6 months have gone by and I've forgotten what it was. And so I couldn't figure it out. But later this week, like on Monday or Tuesday or something, I went to YouTube and I said, long valve, how to, and I discovered that there's an extra little bit that I had to unscrew on the valve to open it. On the valve of the tire. Yes, to open it so that it was ready to receive air, and then I was able to pump it up. But yeah,
simply YouTube, by unscrewing it with your fingers.
So there's a cap on it, and then then the actual valve also has some screwiness to it that you have to unscrew. Uh-huh. But I had never seen this in all of my childhood as a bicycle rider. It's a different type of valve.
Yeah, but anyway, you got it figured out, and it's all.
I got it figured out, and I got it pumped up. But
you all pumped up.
I pumped it up. Yes. So my tires are all hard and ready to ride, man.
Ride, Captain, ride.
Sally?
Upon that mystery ship.
Yes.
You're amazed. You're amazed at the grace we've had upon that trip.
Yeah, man.
Man.
Ride, Sally, ride. So that went well. But like I was saying, just you can find solutions to any problem nowadays on YouTube. If you don't know how to, the other day I had to restring my classical guitar, and I was like, I don't know how the fuck to restring a classical guitar, but I went to YouTube and was like, how do I restring a classical guitar? And there was a step-by-step process. So it's a magical future world that we live in. So
yeah,
amen.
Yeah. Amen. So trip to the States is in order.
Well, hold on. I received a gift out of the blue from a company in Spain that I've taught some courses for them in my technical area of expertise, but they sent me 12, so I called it an advent calendar, 12 Christmas beers. And these are from the Trappist monks in Belgium.
And there's 12 different ones?
No, there were 5 were the same and 5 were the same and 2 were, and another 2 were the same. But these are they're 10, they're as strong as wine. They're 10% alcohol.
Oh, wow.
It's a strong fucking shit. But so
in bars, they got to serve that in snifters rather than in beer glasses.
Well, In Belgium, when I went 8 years ago, I learned that every single kind of beer that they have, every single brand of beer has a different glass. So think about this. Your bar has 60 different beers that someone can order. You have to have 60 different types of glasses. Yes.
Or do some of them share the same glass?
I don't think they do.
Think about it.
Potentially for your super rare ones, but every single one that I ordered had a separate kind of glass. And I went to one bar that had a fucking phone book of a beer menu with 200 or 300 beers on it. And I'm pretty sure in the back they had glasses for every single fucking type. But yeah, it's a weird cultural.
Yeah,
humans are weird.
They sure don't do that here. Yeah.
So anyway, cheers.
I went. Cheers to you.
Christmas.
And so let me tell you, it's in order to reintroduce to you from a year ago, I believe, Bell's Christmas Ale.
Yes.
Which is a Scottish ale, and is to me rich. Tastes like a rich red, but it's a lager, and it's quite good. And the Scotch ale bit is flavorful.
I remember from my time in Denmark around November and December, there was a whole different rebranding of beer around. This is the Christmas beer, the Jule, I think is the way they say it there. Jule,
well, and what a smart thing to do. Tradition, certainly tradition, but tradition for all the right reasons and then more. Back in the day when everybody brewed their own, and maybe some of them sold it.
Tradition, let's call it what it is. It's capitalism.
It didn't start that. I mean, back when, just think of the genesis. I mean, you're brewing your own beer and
you're brewing your own beer, and then you want to sell more around Christmas time. That's fucking capitalism, man. It's not. There's nothing special. Like the beer from July is not different from the beer in December. I'm sorry.
So, is there a special food that you cook for the holidays? In our house, it's turkey and ham, probably for either one or both of the holidays. Is there a particular food that you have for the holidays? Just wondering.
Yes, let's say.
Yeah, no, let's say you either do or you don't.
Yes.
You do. So let me ask you this. And in your mind, then the beverages are somehow different, that a recipe or a particular type of style gets saved for the holidays because that's the time of year that you've always made it for yourself as a reward for a good year.
Okay, but a turkey cooked in the oven in July is going to be just as good as one cooked in December.
I beg to differ. Only if your culinary definition of taste is only just of the mouth-watering variety as opposed to the entire environmental colossus of what happens when you're eating and who you're with and what you're doing and all of that.
Oh, so the environmental colossus.
If you're in a room and you're breathing the food and you're talking to people and there's an energy in the room, that's all part of the food. So in that regard, yeah, I disagree. It's not. Turkey in July is, in fact, turkey in July. Turkey at Christmas? That's fucking turkey at Christmas. Okay? Make no mistake. Make no mistake.
Praise baby Jesus.
Grasshopper.
Yes.
Grasshopper. Come with me on this.
Okay. I agree. There's no room in the inn for my beliefs.
Are you standing up?
Yeah, baby.
Are you? I think you have been. So now I'm going to stand.
No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see your crotch. No. Sit back down.
I'll just have to back further away. Okay.
Here we go. Dennis?
Yes.
Since our rain has stopped, our leaking has stopped. And as such, follow up on our previous, my house has holes in it problem. We had a guy come over that was the like auditor evaluator for the building management company. And I took him
assessor.
The assessor. Very good. I took him out on the roof and he was like, this tile's broken, this tile's broken, this tile's broken, this tile's broken. Why are all these tiles fucking broken?
Hello.
Of course, this is your problem.
Hello. What did I say? Hello.
Right. And presumably he went back to his employer and the building management people and told them, look, this building is fucking broken.
And it's out of code. It's out of code. There are legal ramifications for not having it fixed at the expense of the company. And so once it becomes known legally, your problem is on the path of solution. But I will tell you this, that make certain about the flashing and the caulking. Ask the questions of the workers. How will you adjust for the aging problem of caulk in the corners, particularly in the vertical lines where there's a step down? Do you need to write this down? I think you do. You're nodding, but you have a somewhat dim-witted look in your face. So I'm thinking maybe you should write it down.
So I need to flash my caulk? Yes. Yeah. So like the actual legal guilt involved is
responsibility,
kind of
not
curious responsibility. But like the company that is responsible for managing the building, they're always very happy when something breaks to pass along those expenses to all of the residents of the building.
It is, in fact, a capitalist profit-making corporation. So yes,
indeed, capitalism. Here we are back again. But it's one of these things where it sucks when you're on the second floor and the people on the 10th floor are complaining about their roof leaking and you have to pay for it. But that's life, right?
So there's a larger question here, and it should be asked by you, if not all of the tenants, and perhaps you as their spokesperson. You could form a little bit of a union approach here and suggest that these incidents of leakage are the result of broken tiles, and the assessment of select areas shows damage. We request that a review of the entire roofing is done to see where there are areas that are not yet at this point, but soon will be, so that when the replacement strategy is put into effect, it takes into consideration not just the immediate need, but the longer-term needs of everyone who resides in this building.
But sincerely yours. Yeah, sincerely yours, guy on the top floor.
And here's the thing: if that gets passed on to you, depending on what the cost is, then that's like any homeowner. Okay,
true.
Just like me.
But I don't know. I feel like it's the building management company's concern to have been looking at the roof tiles all these years and to have been replacing them when they break, but they've let it get to this point where now there's more expense, and now they're going to have to repair my apartment because they let the roofing situation get out of control.
Do you have a stain, or do you have droppage? Do you have material that fell?
I do.
What fell? Paint or plaster or both?
Yes. See that hole there?
Yeah. It's pretty. Yeah, I see it. That's it.
Yeah, but there's like stain around it, but
okay,
that's been falling. It's minor. It's minor, but
nonetheless, it's on the list.
Yeah, there's shit that needs fixing. So there we are. But anywho.
And so shall we begin?
Should we? Shall we?
I have a major question to you about the season finale of Succession, but asking you this question should be thought through a little bit. I don't necessarily want to start the discussion of Succession with this question, but you wrote me a note, and it was so touching, because you said the police schoolboy said, "I am so proud that I've done my homework," and in parentheses, I thought I was going to see Daddy in parentheses, but I didn't. But it was touching nonetheless. And
I don't remember that part of it. Yes, I was for the listener. Hello, listener.
There's two.
I'm sorry, listeners. You and you, listener one and listener two. So I knew that I needed to catch up on Succession, and there were like 6 or 7 episodes to be seen. And then I noticed on Twitter, there was a little bit of, oh my God, what the fuck just happened? #Succession. And I had the sense that something major had happened. And I knew that you, dear listener 1 and listener 2, would like for us to be able to talk about the conclusion of season 3 of Succession. And so I fucking booked it, man. I put in a bunch of hours and watched all of it and got up to date. And then, so it was tricky of them to have season 1 has 10 episodes. Season 2 has 10 episodes. Season 3 has, just 9.
Oh, that's why you
were waiting for a 10th, but no, there's just 9.
Did you think that beginning in episode 8 and 9, et cetera, had you been expecting a 10-point season for some time, or did it only occur to you afterwards? I had been?
The first 2 seasons had 10 episodes, and then episode 9 comes along, and I was thinking, this is the penultimate one. But no, it wasn't.
Penultimate, I thought that meant the 5th.
Well, you're not that clever. It means the second to last.
Second to last. Okay. All right. Second to last. But I wasn't surprised by that. I never
You expected going into 9 that this was the last one?
Several news feeds about the finale.
You have other sources.
Oh, yeah. So the fucking web knows what I'm interested in, because they're reading everything I fucking Google it. So they send me shit.
Yeah,
But at any rate, there's so many ways to go about this. I do want to talk about the New York article about Jeremy Strong and what essentially was an absolute exclamation point about Jeremy Strong in the final episode, which was, this motherfucker is the fucking real deal. This dude is like nailing it.
But in the article, it talks about how like he forever has idolized these method actors.
Yes,
that
Dustin Hoffman.
They get super into their role, and they're Daniel Day-Lewis, and
Right.
how over his career as a 20 and 30-year-old shadowed these people and nestled himself close to these people.
Yes.
So that he could study,
going after his dream,
and how all the other people around him thought that he was like a super bizarro nerd in like.
I didn't take that away from the New York article. I would take it away as some. It was more well-rounded than the reactors would have you believe upon a second reading of it.
I'm not responding to anyone reacting to the article. I'm like, having read the article today, and it's all fresh in my mind, that when he was like Daniel Day-Lewis's assistant,
yes,
he was like, no one saw him except for when he was just like there standing at attention, ready to help Daniel with whatever.
And the story was that he watched Daniel Day-Lewis insist that during the breaks that the staff spoon fed him because of his extreme challenges, physical challenges. And that was the story that the New Yorker article mentioned. And this is the interesting thing, is that Dustin Hoffman, who in Marathon Man had stayed up for 3 days and partied hardy, and when the director turned to him and said, my poor boy, why don't you just try acting?
Yes, I love that. That was so good. And how all of Brian Cox's quotes in the article were like,
right.
This is like a stupid fucking thing that Americans do.
Oh,
why can't you just turn it fucking on and off?
I didn't quite get that. I got a deeper kind of, not a sense of I guess you're right, about a sense about a strange American malady.
He said this is an American thing.
And a malady. He called it a malady. He did. And here's the thing, is that it's the Scottish ancestry actor. He's just try acting, old boy.
Or just like when they say camera's rolling, fucking turn it on. And when they say cut, turn it off. The way that apparently Jeremy Strong and Daniel Day-Lewis and all the other American actors struggle.
The dinner scene where Kendall and Logan are at a prearranged meeting, and the exchange is much as what you would expect, except that Logan looks at him, and on the, if I recall what I've read, on the fourth take, perhaps the third take of that entire scene was so riveting. The third take was so riveting that as he began to speak and said about how long was that boy breathing under, and just as that third take happened, the cameras went into a close-up, and the director commented afterwards how the camera followed and caught Logan at his absolute purest by getting in close-up. And you may recall that I've seen it 3 times. So at least that particular deal there, that scene, but it is one of the most riveting and powerful, and to me sets the stage. When that scene fades, before it fades out, Kendall is left there taking a long guzzle of his wine, nearly in silhouette. And as the camera moves back a bit, it is clear that he is weeping. He is weeping. And Logan has broken his back. Yes. And it just so sets the stage for him using again to a degree of inebriation, at least, which shows him sticking his fucking drunken head underwater as the beer bottle slowly fades down, and some of the more artistic kind of shooting of what the fuck is that from down below, camera underwater, filming upwards with the sun shining in, and fade out to the bubbles coming out of his nose. And we're both like, fuck, man, he's fucking drowning. But I love the way it came back. I just loved it, how it came back. And it was like an accident. It was like too many limoncello or whatever. And oh God, I just can't say enough about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was exquisite. Best television I've seen. I don't want to say ever, but among the best ever.
Yeah. I've watched some follow-up commentary about the show, and apparently they have a lot of room for ad-libbing. Like the director allows for the actors to add little sparks here and there.
This and that. And they don't rehearse is at the heart of that.
Right.
Being on the camera is that they don't want anything to be stale or sour. They don't mind doing a few takes.
And especially from the article, Jeremy Strong doesn't rehearse. Like he refuses to rehearse, which annoys the shit out of his colleagues.
Not everyone, I don't think equally. I think there was some annoyance there, but I also read, and I'm sure it was in the same article, that it was stimulating. And it was Sarah Snook who said that it's amazing to be part of it happening. And I will tell you this, he is so fucking riveting that scene in the parking lot in Italy, in the dusty, dirty parking lot, where he finally just falls on his knees in the dirt, where his siblings understand in a way that is fleeting how serious it is, only to touch him in a way, physically, including physically, touch him in a way which showed sibling caring, but instantly to an end, instantly for a purpose, instantly to get you ready to go with us. We can't do it. And Romulus Roman is, oh my God. And his acting, his incredible decision making and the difficulty of the decision and the doing of it, and his nervousness and his vulnerability was so unbelievably solid. He's up for first award of the season, best supporting male actor in a drama.
And what I love about Succession is these little moments where they allow the ad-libbing. That's what makes it fucking funny. Like it is a drama, but there are moments that are just hilarious.
And Kieran Culkin is astoundingly effective.
Yes.
In this quirky, eccentric, he looks the part. He is when he's on the camera, I can't take my eyes off because he just eats up every scene. When he fucking pushes his brother down on the disco floor, it is a revelation beyond, it's to the point of physicality in his antagonism toward Kendall, as Shiv is, emotionally. And isn't it interesting that Shaban's nickname is the slang term for a knife when you're doing fucking time?
Indeed.
Indeed.
And speaking of which, Tom's anxiety about prison was just beautiful, fucking so beautiful. Like his all of the flips and turns that he did thinking about prison life and his whole soliloquy about like toilet wine. It was like, look, the highlight of my day is when I come home to my super fancy Manhattan penthouse and I have my first glass of cold white wine. And I was thinking about how in prison, I'm going to have to make wine in the toilet and how I'm going to have to go about this. And it's just so fucking beautiful. Tom is potentially one of my favorite characters.
And so the interesting thing about Tom is that he comes to Logan and he details with Shiv first that he's going to be the patsy, that he'll be the man who goes. And it is the only time in the entire series where he refers to Logan as Papa.
Yes.
And Logan says to him and squeezes his arm in the single most elaborate.
The only time he's ever said he's ever said thank you. I think
he did it with Roman as they were in a couple of occasions, usually getting ready to board. And there was a couple of episodes where Roman was his consigliere and they were alone. And so in those times, but Shiv, remember, was CEO and chief executive president. And still, though, he called her fucking Pinky the entire time. So this is what I love about Tom. Tom looks at the situation and says to Kendall, you know what? Here's the deal. You get fucked all the time. I've never seen Logan get fucked one time. Mm-hmm. In other words, I'm back in Logan. He says that. He takes the prison rap thing. And then in the final episode, in order to make certain that it's clear that Logan has to make a deal with his second wife immediately in order to her to get her house on the in Paris somewhere. I don't recall exactly where, but also another cool billion probably in order to write out the clause that required the children to require unanimous consent for such a sale.
Wait, hold on.
Mom sold them out.
Yeah. Okay. Spoiler alert. Yes. Every single time that Logan's kids gets uppity and they're like, I'm gonna take dad down, blah blah blah. They lose every single time. Which is exactly what Tom said. Right. True. Exactly.
So, what Tom said.
Yes. So it's like, I always want them to win. Like they are the underdogs and the kids.
You want them to win, really?
They're they are like
all three of them. At one point in time, you want each of the three of them to win.
When they were all there in the Suburban saying, "Look, we have to stop this deal."
With
in the last episode,
with Gojo.
Yeah, good memory. Yeah. So that's. But I don't know. Also, I sort of want to be behind Kendall, although Kendall's a dick. But like.
So this is.
I want Logan to fail at one point, but he never does.
So Kendall does this. Kendall does the thing, admitting and saying and confessing on his knees in the dirt in a parking lot that he killed a man.
Yeah.
And he is at the mercy of his siblings who let him know.
Which thank God that came out, like to them at least.
He gets up, running toward them, crying and says, "Can I go with you guys?" And he runs after them.
Yeah.
He is 12 years old and he is broken. He is absolutely broken. And this performance in understanding that it was about the third or fourth take when Jeremy Strong finally just, for the first time in the takes, got down on his knees and fell down in the dirt, which required not only Roman to figure out what to do with that, because that just happened on camera, but also Shiv, in her high heels and tight dress, had to figure out what she could do about it. And it led to her putting her hand on his head, which a still of it would show the only decibel of potential affection that Shiv ever showed anyone. Anyone.
Come on, she likes Tom.
She barely likes Tom. Barely likes Tom.
I love how
she likes Tom as a dominatrix.
You're so anti-Shiv. I love you.
Fucking Shiv. Despicable. Fucking despicable.
Season 4 has been approved and will be created as yet uncreated.
With only what we know to be true. And I'm so thrilled that Skarsgård is going to be the character. What's his name in the show? The runner Gojo, Mathis. I think it's was it Mathis. He's like in this place that you got to go a helicopter and a speedboat, of course, made out of oak to get to, and it's perfect. And he says, "There's a view here," and Roman looks at the view and says, "Yeah, lots of blue, lots of water, lots of boats." He said, "Listen, man, how about that? What was that? What was that post you did? What was it? You want to make a deal or not?" I mean, it was.
Wait, are you talking about Adrian Brody?
No. I'm talking about Manson, the Gojo, the creator Mojo, the
okay.
Elon Musk character.
Yes. So, yeah, I look forward to everyone. Stay tuned for episode 185 when we talk about this again. So,
oh my God, what's that? What did you jump ahead? How many?
I think we're like 137 now or something. So it's like what?
What? You say what?
I got my golf clubs regripped. That's nice.
Nice.
And I got my putter done with a super fucking fat, like you can barely fit your little fingers around it.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
With all of it? All of your irons?
No, the putter.
Oh, just the putter.
Yeah. I look forward to, I don't know, using that at some point. We'll see.
Yeah, that opens the door for a question for me. I don't think if I get it done, maybe I'll get it done while I'm down there, which is expensive but rapid and easy enough to accomplish. Just hand them off to the fucking shop and do them up in Myrtle Beach style. Here's my choices, rather than unpacking them and carrying them here and picking them up and I'll pack them once. Anyway, I haven't played this year because of my decision, a rational decision, that the recovery from the pain in my back on balance against the thrill of playing golf
Right.
The back won for an entire season. But stupidly, as I may have mentioned, the 9 holes I played, and having played 9 holes but hit 4 and 5 balls because the people ahead of me were slower than shit, and there was nobody behind me on the golf course. So I played 9 holes, but I hit 4 or 5 balls. So by the time I had a lot of strokes. I was dead beat. And I hit many shots I liked. I really
So
did.
for nine holes, you shot like 400.
Yeah. But then my back was recovery. And of course I overdid it. And so I need to be more disciplined. So
I've been going to a Pilates class.
I can't imagine. Wow.
I know, right?
Wow.
Like my wife and I on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we go to this class, and man, it's good and hard and good. Like it seems like nothing, but you exhaust yourself, and by the end you're like, please let this stop, because you're lying on your back. And they have this way, like before, like in my memory, before when you wanted to do abdominal exercises, you would be like doing sit-ups and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But now you're lying on your back and you're raising one hand over here and another foot over there. And then little by little, you don't realize, but you're like exercising your abs. And it's been...
Sounds like fun.
Like whenever, as is always the case with exercise, like when I'm going there, I'm like, do we really have to do this? And then when I'm leaving, I'm like, that was really good for me. So
right.
it feels like the sort of thing that it's going to help me age better. If I could do this over the next 20 years, I'm going to be a pretty, like those muscles of my back and core and stuff that I don't normally use are going to be nice to have.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's smart. It also explains why you're doing the entire podcast standing up. I'm impressed. I don't think I could stand up this long.
Yeah, I do most of my work during the day doing a headstand or sit down, but for this, I figured I would turn it.
We've had, as you mentioned earlier, I think you mentioned on air that the seasonal improvement this past week with warm weather, it's the same in Spain as it is here, where it was 60 degrees today. I worked outside in a long sleeve shirt. And it was 23 degrees.
You promised a tool of the day
last week. What was the project? Huh?
Who the fuck
remember?
No. You said, I have a project. I'm going to have a tool of the day.
What was the project?
Anyway, 23 degrees is warm in Celsius, but not so much in...
So 23 degrees Fahrenheit when we came back from North Carolina, where it was 77.
Yes.
The day we left. And I was in the ocean surf fishing. Did I send you pictures?
You did.
Did we talk about this already?
Last week, yes.
Okay. So anyway, planning our next trip.
Nope. But hold on. The weather is good now. You were doing things, tools.
Yeah. Sorry. So what was the tool of the day? So let's think. So this was my project, whether this is the one I told you about or not. It was this, that in my garage, in my tent garage, there is a cover for my Mercedes sports car that is the hardtop.
La, la, la.
And I built a wooden stand for it some time ago that ended up deteriorating and wasn't quite right. Not to mention the fact that I had put the cover on upside down. And so it had gaps in the cover, et cetera. And it was too wide and it was leaning the wrong way. So I went out there with high hopes, pad and pencil in hand to scratch out what I would do to improve this. I put the pad and pencil down and disassembled it and realized that the piece I bought was only 6 inches too narrow to completely replace the entire contraption. And so I did a little jimmy rigging and I built this piece. And instead of planning it out and then doing the work at a later time, I actually just did the work, never put pencil to paper. And the tool of the day.
This is like, this entire podcast is like,
there's two
plans.
There's two things.
Let's just do it.
There's a tool of the day, but there's also the engineering.
A fool of the day.
Well established. We do not need to go there. Well established. Yes. So anyway, there's the tool of the day, and there's also the engineering feat of the day.
Okay.
So which do you want first?
Tool.
The tool of the day, which has been the tool of the day before, I'm sure, is the bungee cord.
Amen.
The bungee cord was the icing on the cake. It was the piece de la resistance of the architectural art, which was before me, which was the cover of my Mercedes, held in stretched, ecstatic perpendicularness
Okay, so just to explain for anyone that doesn't know what the fuck a bungee cord is, it's a piece of stretchy rope with two hooks on the end. And you can hook one on one side and then stretch it to another side.
And some are adjustable as these are, so that you can either make them longer or shorter.
Ooh,
using
fancy.
a U-shaped contraption that slides up and down. But in this case, the tool of the day was used to secure the roof, which was on now a wooden frame.
Yes.
With the ceiling of the structure, so that it could not fall down. Hooked to the back of the structure and hooked to the roof of the structure. Otherwise, it sat on a wooden frame braced up, which I used as it stood with only a 6-inch addition on the bottom to hold this roof upright and balanced so it would not fall down. It was resting on a cloth 6 inches thick, glass, silver, and glass in the back of it. It's the roof of a car. There's a glass back, and the silver trim is what it rests on. And so I try not to bang it up. But
what?
So you want to know about the engineering feat of the day. Don't forget it. But the bungee cord held it all up at the end of it.
So none of that description really came
together for you.
No, I hope
you know what a roof of a car looks like. Shaped like windows and a back window, side windows.
Yes.
Okay, like almost a
I've seen a car.
Like
I have seen a car. Yes.
No, that's not the question. Whether you've seen a car, whether you, in all of your cleverness, could imagine a car without anything but the roof. That's another step in the evolution of mental acuity, which I don't want to assume anything here about your competency.
So there's only the roof of a car with no car.
Bingo. Can you picture it?
I'm there. But then you were talking about...
Picture this. Picture this. Put it in a bag that's got two pieces with Velcro connecting them. A foot that you put the windshield in, and a cap that you put over the top of the front of the roof, because it's now standing on its back end, straight up, 4.5 feet tall, sitting on its back ledge. And you've just put a sock and a cap on it, and you look at it and you say, wow, when you're sitting on top of this wooden structure I built, you're almost as tall as me.
Okay.
Mr. Roof.
Okay, Mr. Roof.
Now picture the L-shaped wooden platform that this sits on, with the bottom of it sitting on the base and the top of it leaning on a fulcrum because it's shaped like an L, like where you would tie up your bicycle.
Yep.
And there you have it. The balance of the weight on a fulcrum is the engineering feat of the day to go along with the tool of the day. Tool of the day, icing on the cake. The most important thing is the fulcrum. How did I get all of this to work with a roof that was too big for the most part to be able to lift up by myself? I used it as a fulcrum. I twisted it, I bent it, I stepped it, I walked it, I moved it. Mm-hmm. The engineering feat of the day.
Folkia.
What?
Folkia.
Folk.
No, fulcrum.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
All right.
So that's so there you go. So you were dedicated to Succession. We need to go back there probably because you haven't had time for much of anything else. But
so I want to watch the Will Smith, Venus Williams, Serena Williams. King Richard is the name of the movie.
Yes.
And so that's available, and I have that already. And Dexter is apparently back.
I'm one episode from caught up.
Okay, so I've not seen a single one. So.
Okay. I won't say a word.
Okay. So
but
I want to.
I've got an opinion.
Is it worth going into?
I've watched all but one, so apparently I think that's the case.
All but one is like 3, right?
Yes.
Okay. There's that. And how much time do you have left?
For what? To talk to you tonight?
To chat tonight?
Oh, I don't know. Let me see. I have no idea. The time is flight. Oh, wow. My God. How time flies. 5:45. Whoa. Yeah. What time is it in Spain?
I don't know. It's like midnight. Yeah. Anyway, we're having some getting ready for Christmas. And yeah, so today we had some parenting issues that we can discuss. Apparently, so our nanny was told that my wife should go and talk to a local store owner this evening. And the store owner said that my 12-year-old daughter had been shoplifting some items. And so
Hey, bro, been there, done that. How old?
12.
Yeah.
And so we're going through this phase of, yes, you think you're smarter than all the grown-ups, and you think you can pull one over on everyone and get away with it, but you can't, and you got caught, and now you're fucked.
There are consequences. Indeed.
So not to go too deep into it, but
sure.
do you recall dealing with that with your kids, and do you recall dealing with that as a child yourself?
As a child, I dealt with it myself. I was never caught. Continued throughout my adolescence. I committed at a young age various crimes, and I had no criminal aspirations. No criminal aspirations. As a privileged white boy, whenever I was picked up by the police, they delivered me home with a stern warning to my mother, who I believe would tell my father. And I don't know that I got a strapping, but I did. He had a razor strap. It was a literal razor strap that she used to sharpen a razor in the old barbershop.
Man.
That he strapped me with 2 occasions at least. One of which I've forgiven him for, of course.
Well, did that teach you to not do it again, or did you?
Well, in the one case, it wasn't anything I did. The first instance was for an apparent lie that I had somehow, instead of given my tithing to the church in the collection, that I had kept it for my own devices, and I assured them that I hadn't, and they believed they caught me a liar. And as it turns out, later I discovered a hole in my pea coat, my navy pea coat that I wore to church, and in the lining of my coat was my collection money in its envelope, and that is what had happened to it. And after the stropping,
did you know about that?
No, not until after the stropping. And as a young 11-year-old, probably, maybe younger, I don't know, 10 or 11, I found it and I took it in, and I recall throwing it at my father and saying, I found the money and then the blah, blah, blah. And I also remember a warm moment, at least with my mother afterwards, that was like unforgiveness and on their part, because it wasn't true. And I got the strap for it.
Right.
Fuck. Stealing money from the Church of God. Lord, if ever a stropping were required, that'd be it.
Yeah.
That'd be it. Well, you're lying in the Church of God, son.
Do you have other shoplifting stories?
I used to shoplift records. We would go into a place and we'd take 3 LPs we wanted, and we'd have on a short coat, summer jacket, and we would be able to bend the 3 large LPs, the albums, to tuck them in our pants so they were bent around our waist, and with our hands in our pocket to hold them bent, we could walk out of the store with 2 or 3 albums apiece.
Mm-hmm.
We did that for weeks. I don't know. We never got caught. I never kept any of the albums at home. My buddy kept them all. Me and another guy did it. We never got caught. I don't know. We would go into a store, me and another guy, a couple guys, and 2 of the guys would run in and get into an argument with the woman who ran the store, when another one of us would run in and swipe the candy and shit off the counter and run out. Right. And she reported us. It got back to our parents, of course, but it was a caper. I mean, it involved moving pieces. It was like a plan.
Right. Like Ocean's 11 shit.
I hate to say that I organized it, but I think I might have. I don't know. This is like criminal thinking at an early age, but I seem to think too, maybe it was one of the older boys, Jimmy, Jimmy might've done it. He was older. He might've instructed us. I don't know.
So what did your parents do when they heard about
They never caught me. Oh, no, I never got caught.
No, but you just said that it got back to your
parents. So we just denied it. We didn't do it. She's old. She's crazy.
You're clever or stupid, depending on your angle.
Maybe I'm afraid evil. I mean, I wish that I didn't have such a dark blemish record as the youth. I don't know. Here's the bottom line. We wanted candy. We didn't have enough money, so we took it. I don't remember much more.
That makes sense. Like a kid doesn't have enough money. There's candy available. Stealing the candy, sure, that makes sense. But yeah, so anyway, we're in the process of starting the long process of bad decisions made by the adolescent brain, and here we are.
Long and winding road.
I watched with my family yesterday.
Have you
seen Yesterday?
Yes. Several times, at least twice.
Yeah, and so that was so lovely to watch, and that was the song that in the movie he like pulled out to beat Ed Sheeran in
Oh my God.
in the best songwriting contest.
Yes. And
Fuck.
yes. And it was him at his worst.
Him who?
It was him at his deceiving worst.
Yes, exactly.
Worst.
But yeah, that was a gorgeous little movie. Like it's super
It's a gem, an absolute.
The premise is so simple and dumb, but it's a beautiful.
I love the way it ended too with the, what was it? The other thing that he woke up to that had nobody knew about.
There's Harry Potter and Coca-Cola are the other two things where he was like, can I have a Coke? And they're like, a Pepsi? Which is fantastic.
Yeah, so he'd become multimillionaire. Listen, man, I jumped from my wonderful Christmas ale, my Scotch ale from Bell's Brewery, back to my favorite old Smittix. And our time together has been warm and friendly.
Hey, man, I love you, and I will see you next week. And then we'll see what happens when I go south.
Oh, where are you tonight?
I'm here.
Why did you leave me here all alone?
I'm right here still.
I've searched the world over and I thought I found true love.
I'm here.
You met another.
You're funny.
That's it.
You're a funny boy.
That's it. You honk like a pig. You're supposed to fart. Do you really not know that? Oh, good. It's got some power there. Anyway,
yeah. All right.
You were gone. You met another and
I love you too. Okay, that's it for episode number 137. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/137. And of course, you can always help support us at patreon.com/happyhour. We would love you to buy us some sort of solstice present. And I hope that you're having a lovely solstice, whether it be winter or summer for you, depending on where you are. And we'll see you next week.